The fact is simple. Marijuana must be grown with integrity.
Daggerty.
Daggerty.
A question I'm trying to figure out is we see some recreational, we see some money being generated, and we think, okay, that's going to kind of light a candle under some of these townships to maybe change their mind on opting out. But what else can we do? How would you go about it? What would you say to go down to your township and try to get something going and leaning these people toward allowing, micro licenses or regular grows or dispensaries? Any thoughts?
As the dumb person in the group that doesn't really know the answer but wants to jump out in the street and get ridiculed or jumpstart a better conversation, I would say I might want to try checking out with Normal first and seeing if they have any packets or anything put together, or if you can find something online as a proposal package that someone else has used somewhere else, modify it for your area, and then rock it out, man. Make sure that you don't dress and look like your typical burnout stoner dude or dudette, whatever you want to be.
And know where you're petitioning. Like, you don't want to be in old man's neighborhood and get,
shot.
shot.
Those are some of the hardest parts about our law, is that if you we could overpower it, and we could get a petition ran, but some of these, like my area, it's same deal. Like, you're talking driveways that are a couple 100 yards. You don't want to go down those people's driveways sometimes. And some of the stuff hanging in their yard kind of makes you turn away. So, other things, but okay, first thing I would do is I would definitely not go in there with any of your emotions showing, have a clear head on this topic when you're going to these meetings. Don't get emotional. For example, that I don't want to call her out, but that woman in California, that could potentially be a bad example, set to the what's going on in the city and the city government.
Yeah, I think we actually spoke about that as a bad example before on here.
Yeah.
Well, whether you want to be or not, you are absolutely representative of your cause when you're presenting it.
Yes. And so emotions play big onto that. And the other thing is really, really have it planned out. And I think going to Normal and seeing that is a great number one to do. And then if you can potentially try to reach out to somebody who's done a lot of these, like Rick Thompson or somebody like that, who's at the head of trying to get these communities to opt in, because they know what it takes. And definitely make sure that you're bringing up things like getting rid of the black market in the area, and understanding that the licensed market, these are the pros for it, the cons, we're not seeing them, so to speak. Okay, there's been a couple break-ins in a couple dispensaries, we know this, but the cities can also that they're being misinformed. Sorry to ramble on, and I'll end this real quick once I say that they're being misinformed by thinking that they have to opt out of everything. They don't have to have provisioning centers. They can opt in to some of these other. So I think that even maybe writing a small email, you don't have to go the whole suit and tie route, but write an email that says, hey, you don't have to opt out. I want to just grow, not stink up the neighborhood. I have carbon filters. What can we do? Come on, check out my group.
Yeah. Education is the biggest first step in all of the cases, I think. You're generally talking to people that are completely ignorant about everything, and they just saw a memo or something, and you really got to give them some initiative to give a shit about what you give a shit about.
So my advice was going right there. Education. Educate yourself first, number one. The law is on their webpage. You can download it, read it for yourself, see what that law says, know what it means, know what you're asking for, know what that entails. You know the law, there's a huge benefit for allowing them into your jurisdiction. They get a cut of that tax money. If they opt out, they don't get that cut. So if you know the law, those are your ammo. That's your ammo for your gun. You need to know, pile up as much ammunition as you can have. Know that law. Then go in there and talk to the lawmaker and educate them on that law. Your knowledge on the law is going to impress them. And then if you could come back like Red and everybody else were saying, is with knowledge, saying, if you can cite statistics saying, hey, this is what it looks like when you have these kind of facilities,
Exactly.
you're providing a safe place for people to access medicine. It's all tested. It's not unregulated anymore. Blah, 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 blah. All that is just extra ammunition. So,
but you also want to do, what we do all the time in this show is we try to create win-win-win situations. It's easy to create a situation where you win. I mean, that's just called fucking somebody else over. Or you can create a win-win situation where you can have a partnership with somebody else and be like, hey man, it's beneficial for you and it's beneficial for me. But what I've learned in all of my years is that you need to create win-win-win situations where it's beneficial for you, it's beneficial for your partner, and you have to show them how it's beneficial to a third party or some kind of demographic or something like that. And when you look into these things, look at the demographic, look at who you're trying to propose to. Even if you have the law on your side and you know that you can do this, it's not court. It's just public speaking, man. So always keep in mind who you're trying to have a conversation with. Know the ammunition, look things up, find out what they're bitching about, and then try to figure out where you can come with a counterpoint or a proposition or something else. I mean, it can be done. You just have to believe in what you're doing as much as you want them to believe in what you're doing.
You're fighting against talking points that were written in like the 50s. So do some research and you can beat that.
Yeah, the deck is really stacked in your favor when it comes to information and arguments. So really what your job is when you go down to your ruling body, whatever it is, be it a township or a county office or whatever it is, and you're talking to that supervisor, you just need to have the question, is this not happening here? What's the reason? You can figure out why, then you can start figuring out how to fix and change that over to, well, okay, now we should.
I agree 100% with you guys about making yourself knowledgeable. But I also like to point out the fact that even though you may not be the most knowledgeable person on the block, please at least show up to these meetings in your towns and whatnot. The time of being hiding behind a veil and not showing up because you're afraid to be looked at this town meeting because you're a grower or a user is over. It's recreational. At least show up this meeting. You don't have to out yourself and say, yeah, I'm a smoker or I'm a grower or whatnot. At least show up and let your opinion in, numbers, show up in numbers at least. When you go to these meetings, it's kind of sad. We all are very knowledgeable, and I'm not pointing at anybody on this panel by any means, but when you do show up these meetings, we're really lacking in numbers, where we're not making ourselves be heard, and we have a perfect opportunity. But it's really sad to see the lack of support in the community at these local meetings and whatnot.
Yeah, I
Unfortunately,
agree with all
those
that.
meetings are scheduled right on when everybody works. They don't want to change their work schedule, so they expect you to take your work schedule to change it just to go to a damn meeting. That's the biggest problem I see or I have with it.
I think understanding too that those meetings are an opportunity for like the public to feel like they're being heard, but those meetings are absolutely not where those decisions are being made. You know what I mean? And those decisions in those townships and cities and stuff are being made by like 4 or 6 or 8 people that are usually like, especially in like smaller towns, like little good old boys or like, people that can get elected in small towns. So, okay, how do they get elected? By schmoozing with people, go in there and say like, who makes the decisions on it? What I mean? Like, here's samples of the products that I want to be making in the township. You know what I mean? Like, this is the way that I would distribute them, selling them on the fact that like you're a legitimate business. You know what I mean? Like, you're not the idea of a stoner burnout drug dealer that they've been sold. But also understand when you Google stuff, you can find online from the Michigan Township Association presentations that have been put together by lawyers that go and advise the township panels whether or not they should do these things, whether they should opt in. And it'll be like when they go to a conference twice a year, one of the 30-minute presentations is some lawyer who got paid by a firm to look up marijuana stuff for a minute and give a blip about it. So sometimes all the information that these people have ever gotten in it is at like a retreat, you know what I mean, on like Mackinac Island, where all the whatevers get together and hear some dude that doesn't know shit about it talk about it for 15 minutes, and they say, don't do it. If you can find the PowerPoints online, if you Google them, and they tell the people, don't do it. It's too early, wait, you can always opt in later, you know what I mean? So that's like a lot of the things. These people are initially opting out because they've never heard anything good about marijuana. They don't know anybody that openly uses or smokes it. And they've been told by the only people that have ever talked to them about it that are experts not to do it, you know what I mean? So then a million people can show up to a township board meeting and say, we want you to let us smoke weed here, but that's not the same thing as speaking to somebody in a one-on-one way and having expert level conversations. I mean, you can set meetings with all the people in your local areas to talk to them.
See what I said, Sequence, when we started this? I'd jump out in the street and we get it started.
But really, when you go into any meeting, even if you're just somebody watching the meeting, but you're going to stand up, maybe make a comment, don't feel like you're the loner or you're the standout or you're the one with the lone opinion, because multiple studies are coming out now where it's over 50% people have smoked or do still smoke. So what you have to go in there with a mindset with is every person in here knows at least one person that smokes. You know what I mean? Every single person knows that person. They know it's not harmful. You know what I mean? So you can go in there kind of with that in your mind, and it's not just like, oh, I'm the lone person that knows this information. Everybody knows it. They're just not willing to stand up and say they know it. So approach it in that kind of an aspect. But like, look, everyone out here, in this crowd, somebody that smokes, somebody probably who benefits from even at least CBD. So why would you want to hold the promise of relief and everything that offers, and on top of that, tax dollars over what are we really worried about? I think that kind of approach where you're not really combative, and it's just more like that kind of approach that you get you a lot further.
Yeah, I think there might be some people that could possibly relate to this situation where it's tough to expose yourself. Small towns, right? Some of these real small towns, let's say you got a warehouse or something and you don't, it's a little bit of a ways away, all you have is like video monitors and things like that, and you check on it here and there. Well, that might not be a place that you're known to often in that community. And I'm sure that there's some situations that might occur like this. You could do some practice, if you don't want to like totally expose yourself right away, you got some ends to tie up, let's say zoning wise or something, you haven't pulled permits or something, you can't financially expose yourself. Go to a similar town and maybe do some practice or see what their personalities are behind these doors. For example, I've gone to like some of these smaller towns. I'm similar in that situation. That's why I kind of bring that up. I've talked to like my director and things like that, and he's openly told me, some of the people are kind of curious what you're doing in your facility and your building because this, that, or the other, and knowing that they don't want it there. I don't want to raise the hassle right now because I'm just financially not completely ready to go full in on this. I'm kind of slowly progressing, as most of us I think are in this industry. So I've gone to some of these other towns, and what I've found is some of the more common people that are attending these meetings are of the older generation, and they're curious, they're asking questions. Why is this medicinally helping? Like, because for example, the group stood up and gave a speech on some things that they were opening up a facility at, and of course this township wasn't for it, but what I got is that the citizens, I think, are pretty receptive. So it's easy to educate the people outside of these meetings. After the meeting, everybody starts talking and mingling and things like that. That's your best option. So start going to your meetings or some of these other meetings if you don't want to go to your own, and just start like doing the mingling thing before and after the meetings, and start, because these people are wondering, how does it help medically? Inform them on terpenes, inform them on CBD, low THC, maybe whatever you can to repel the drug idea, right? So that's their fear, is that it's a drug. I think a lot of these people hear marijuana and they don't even think that it's a plant. They think that it's a needle or something. I don't know what they think, but why would they fear this plant? My goodness. Anyway, that's my rant. I'm done.
Yeah, but that's a good point. I mean, there's small things we can do, but everyone can. All we have to do is make steps towards normalization. We have to make it normal every day. Me working at Mitten Cannon Crew, we go out to lunch at work and we just smoke. I mean, we just blow out the 5-6 different places we cycle through, where the guys going in there smelling like fucking dank. But you know what? We're in there. We're dropping fucking money every fucking day. We're fucking pleasant. We're cool fucking people. We're
It's not like a bunch of drunks rolled in there,
Exactly. They're fucking happy to see us come in. and we don't get hassled for smelling like fucking straight dank. So, you know, it's just that kind of, it's little steps, it seems like, but, you know, to normalize it like that, people, it might change some people's opinions.
Well, and along normalizing it, and I've seen some people talking about it in chat, like how many people gave weed as a Christmas gift? You know what I mean? I did. And I had a bunch of people get stuff as Christmas gifts, you know what I mean? So it's like how many more people are like rediscovering weed or trying it for the first time or whatever, you know what I mean? It is getting more normal for sure.
I think that's fantastic that people are giving it as gifts now. Like, I can give beer as gifts at my company party. Hopefully, in the next year or so, I can give weed as gifts. That would be badass.
I want to point one thing out though, is we seem to almost be focusing on cultivation alone. You know, and you really start thinking about it when you want to sell it to your township or whatever, realize that you can really focus if you have an older population, like Jack was saying about the Midwest. They've got a lot of aches and pains and they might not have health insurance and stuff like that. Instead of trying to sell them on like high percentage THC, let's get blown the fuck out kind of pitch, talk about topicals, talk about how you can use cannabis responsibly, and it will neither give you a positive urinalysis test and you're not going to feel any kind of psychoactive effects from it whatsoever, but you get all the benefits of things like THCA and things like that. And you can explain that to them and say, hey, look, this is an alternative treatment for some people that, you know, you might want to look into.
I think that's the biggest fear, is that word psychoactivity, right? That means changing consciousness. A lot of people are afraid of this change in consciousness, right?
That's why shrooms are illegal.
They think it's similar to mushrooms. They think it's similar to LSD. That's their perception because you use this term psychoactive effect. In reality, it can be incredibly psychoactive. Let's say when you're eating it and it reacts that way. But for example, you know, if you smoke a 1-to-1 or if you smoke something that's incredibly purple and doesn't get you that high, that might be good for somebody that's fresh out of the start to realize that psychoactivity that people are talking about is really more just a heightened sense of alertness, a heightened sense of not want to say reality, you know?
Yeah, like colors are so much more vibrant after you smoke. Like the world is just better afterwards.
And in a way that is psychoactivity, but it's definitely not LSD.
The difference between then it's not hallucinogenic.
Hallucinogenic, right? That is a huge.
I've definitely been there though. We talked about in the last show, Spartan and I. Like when I first started smoking, like you could get to a point where it was hallucinogenic for sure. So I still think that it's possible to get there, and I try really hard. I just can't get there anymore.
Yeah, I think that if you got somebody that, for example, I've tried to turn some people who have tried smoking in the past, let's say in the 70s, 80s, they said, man, it was just too much. I smoked it and it like fried me. It was seeing shit and it was crazy. And there's a couple things that could have happened. I mean, that could have been like some really, really good weed, some of that like African black skill, but we were talking about that stuff the other night. But there's also this potential that there have been, you know, research chemicals going around since like the 60s. I mean, people have been putting research chemicals in, believe it or not, even their cannabis. And this includes potentially, I don't even know, like maybe some of these hallucinogenic ones, but definitely like PCP and things like that. And in the 80s, I believe that there was a huge thing going around where people were putting PCP and weed, they basically, or ether as well. You could basically dip ether cigarettes, you know. And I think that there's a large perception, a large population of people that may have tried what they thought was cannabis in the 70s and 80s, and these people could be our parents. And they may have gotten hit with a ether stick or a PCP stick or something like that, and their perception of what they think cannabis is might be way different than what it really is. Sorry, old man, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if anybody knows where to get a bag of weed like that, could they just point me that direction?
Oh, I hate goodbyes.
Lloyd. Damn button. Push the goddamn button. You heard what she said.